Welcome back to my channel, my crystal kings and queens. So today's video, I wanted to simply just discuss the differences between raw crystals and polished crystals. I personally don't have a bias between either or, but let others tell it. There are humongous or major differences that just kind of set one another, or that just kind of set them apart from one another. I've done a bit of scrolling through YouTube. I've read a few articles, and a lot of people prefer, I guess, depending on whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish, some people prefer the natural over the polished, and then others prefer the polished over the natural. I don't think, and this is just strictly my opinion. Obviously, my opinion belongs to me, not to you. So don't take it personal if you don't agree. I'm, happy to accept any other, opinions or thoughts in regards to this subject matter. But I don't think that one is stronger over the other. Now, there may just as well be a more organic type of energy concerning the more natural crystals, or the crystals that have not been altered in a sense. However, I think it just depends on the crystal type, because I can have two types of crystals that come from two separate crystal family types or whatever, and those crystals on its own could be extremely powerful, whether it is in its natural form or not. So for example, really quick, speaking in regards to myself only, I could have an amethyst or a lithium quartz, and both crystals are in its own individuality extremely powerful, have such a high vibrational type of energy that for me, if I'm around either or too long, I start to feel the heavy effects of both crystals. So for an amethyst, let's say in its polished form, I can sleep with that under my pillow, and it's supposed to be for insomniacs. However, for me, it keeps me wide awake. It's just ultimately ridiculous, and I don't understand how people sleep with it. And that's just the polished version. If I sleep with a lithium quartz, I feel like I'm just falling deep down under into the most out of this world type of sleep, that it's just kind of hard for me to snap out of it, if you know what I mean. So putting both of those crystals together, and it's just in its polished version or form, let's say for meditation purposes, I can meditate with both of those crystals, and they give me such a natural high that I feel like I'm levitating. It's a high that is almost sickening to me if I'm dealing with both crystals at the same time for too long. So I can't meditate with those crystals for too long. I can't sleep with either of the crystals, not for too long, just simply not at all. And to be quite frank, it's not in its unpolished state. These crystals are just simply that extreme. They just contain so much high energy that on its own, it's just an outrageous stone or outrageous crystals. But that's just me speaking on me. And that's in, like I said, an unpolished form. That's in a polished form, I'm sorry. So if I were to imagine getting those crystals in a non-polished form, in its organic state or a natural state, I couldn't tell you that it wouldn't have a much more potent effect on me. However, I can say just experience enough with these crystals have caused me to, kind of think above and beyond. it just kind of takes my spirit out of here. It's just such high vibrational stones. Needless to say, because almost none of that, may or may not matter to you. I think if you are the type that are wanting to help someone, and you need an immediate effect and you need a strong push, like that heavy punch type of feel, some people lean towards the natural state of crystals. They want the immediate effect. They want it like, slam smack, jab dab in the face, that type of thing. And then others, if let's say you're just doing a subtle Reiki healing, or you're just helping a person to shift energy gears, in a very subtle sense. You need a more gentle effect, something a bit softer. Then others lean towards the polished version of the crystal. So I feel like there's so much more that I could say on this topic, but I mean, there's just not much to it. It's all pretty much about personal preference. And I don't have a personal preference. I do thoroughly enjoy both raw versions and polished versions of a crystal. Obviously, the more natural the crystal, you'll get the rough edges, the rough feels, the rough effect. The more non-shaped type of crystals looks like it's just kind of been, chucked out of the wall, or out of its natural environment with no alterations whatsoever, as opposed to your polish, which is the more smoother feel to the touch. It's generally always shaped. You'll have that glossy effect, things to that nature. So I have a few crystals that I want to show you, that for this video purpose alone, I just put them in my crystal baggie. And because I am home, I can go ahead and take them out, because I was going to record this video elsewhere at first, and then a few different things happened, which we won't talk about. So anyway, I'm going to show you the crystals that I have. Basically, the ones that I'll be showing you are two versions of my clear quartz, and then two versions of, let's say, a rose quartz. So let me get those out, turn you around, and then we can talk about it a little bit. So this is my clear quartz. Some, again, would say that a clear quartz in its original state gives a more organic, pure, and a solidified type of energy. Honestly, I don't get the major difference, all because, one, possibly because I'm just not looking for it. Two, I'm also the type that I'm not going to let others' experience influence my experience. I don't want to necessarily hear about how a person, feels, or what they get when they are holding a specific type of crystal. Or I don't want to look up a specific crystal meaning and then, let that, indirectly influence, or, unsubconsciously or subconsciously influence my personal experience with the crystal. So I just, I let the crystal have its way on its own time with me. I don't judge at first, or, I don't take what others say about a crystal to heart, because I want to know the true experience. I want to get my own experience, my own revelation. And that's just kind of how I operate with my crystals. I also believe that when you get it that way, whether it's polished or non-polished, you will have a much more natural experience with that crystal in general, as long as, you're not influenced by the thoughts of others. Now, that's just my personal, experience, or my personal beliefs in regards to crystal experiences. However, that's just my opinion. To each his own. Different strokes for different folks. What works for you may not work for me. What works for me may not work for you. So that's just kind of how I operate. But let's say for experiment purposes, I try getting the differences between, or I try experiencing the difference, or see if there's at least a difference between natural energy or crystals, or energy, the difference between crystals with a more natural appeal as opposed to crystals with a more polished touch. So here we have my polished clear quartz, and this crystal, it also has a very natural aspect to it. So I suppose I get the best of both worlds for this with this crystal here, but for video purposes we'll just stick to the polished side of it. So now we have the polished version. I don't have a personal preference. I prefer crystals. That's my preference. I prefer crystals no matter how they come. So whichever works for me, I'm all for it ultimately. But this is my polished rose quartz. And you obviously can tell the difference between the polished and more natural version of a crystal. One is just a bit more rough around the edges, a little sticky to touch at times, meaning sharp corners, sharp edges, that type of thing, as opposed to just that really smooth, quick and easy grab and go type of feel. So if you're going to carry crystals, a rough one, like for us women putting a crystal in our bra, obviously carrying a more natural or raw crystal would not be ideal. Here is the more natural version of a rose quartz, and I absolutely love it. This is one of my more newer rose quartz, so I've been spending quite a bit of time with it, and I absolutely love it. I think it's just so perfect, so cute, such a yummy look. But this is the more natural version of my rose quartz. So yeah. So there you have it for the most part. There's not much to really say on rough or raw, aka natural crystals versus the polished version of a crystal. It's all about personal preference. It's all about personal opinion, and what obviously works for you, because some people just have a lot going on where they feel they absolutely just need a more subtle nudge as opposed to a organic kick, something extremely potent. Again, I don't put one over the other. I can get, or to what I feel, I'm sorry y'all, I'm like extra trippy. From my personal experience, all feels, all experiences, energies, they're all the same to me. I get the same types of energy. Now you have those moments where there's a huge difference between larger crystals, say, such as this right here, versus a smaller crystal such as this right here. Now those energies, those types of energies can definitely differentiate depending on size, because I can stand around a small amethyst and be, all right, I might get just a tingle of a buzz, but if I'm next to an amethyst tower, then that's a totally different type of energy. It could make me loopy, woozy, a little dizzy, possibly queasy, depending on how potent that energy is from such a huge tower. So it just, it depends on what, you're actually dealing with, as well the type of crystal, because a crystal in itself, the type of crystal in itself has, its own individuality and its own effects. I can work with a very small lithium quartz and, feel the same type of buzz as I would if I were to get high, as opposed to, working with a clear quartz where I'm a bit more chill, calm, cool, and collected type of deal. You know what I'm saying? So it just kind of depends. And it's all about what you want, all about what you feel is best for you or energetically fit for your specific aura, what it is that you are actually looking for. So I don't think I have much more to say about it. I may or may not make a part 2 to this. It just kind of depends if I feel like I haven't said much or enough, or if I've said a lot of things that just may not have made sense. So needless to say, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you so much for rocking with me. I hope you all have a blessed and favorable rest of your day. Crystal kisses and royal blessings. I'll see you in the next video.